beautiful day. The sun is shining, and it's the 50th birthday of my son's father. He's my ex, but I'm still making a delicious treat for him today because he used to love it when I made it for him. This is a Portuguese treat, something sweet. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's Pasteis de Nata. These are little puff pastry tarts with a cream or pudding-like filling. They usually require lots of eggs, sugar, and cow's milk, and I'm veganizing this recipe for you today, so I'm making two different kinds, and we will compare them in the end. I think that will be pretty interesting. As far as the ingredients, both share the base of puff pastry dough. I'm using store-bought dough. I decided a long time ago it's not worth the trouble of making this myself, even though it may taste even better, I know. Then we need some pudding. Pudding always requires some form of starch, sugar, and a bit of color. You can just use this vanilla pudding. You already have color and flavor in there, or you can make it yourself using just starch and sugar and some plant-based or some cow's milk. Then we need some vanilla paste or extract. If you do vegan version without the store-bought pudding, you can add a bit of turmeric to give it some extra color, and then we need some brown sugar for caramelization on top. I'd like to add some ground organic orange peel to my pastiche. You can also use store-bought orange peel. And then for the regular normal version, you need lots of egg yolks. And actually this is made with cream. I might use half cream and half milk. Also, I made a vegan version before with some coconut cream, but as this coconut cream really raises my LDL cholesterol a lot worse than dairy would, I'm not using it today. So let's get started. Just had to put my hair together real quick. First you have to prepare the pudding because it needs a while to cool down. You don't want it runny or super hot when it goes into your pastry dough. And mind you, Pasteis de Nata means cream tarts, so that's why I'm also going to be using some cream, otherwise it wouldn't be very original. First up now, the vegan pudding. So in a cup, I'm mixing some of the plant milk with the pudding powder, and I'm adding 50 grams of sugar, not 30, because the original recipe calls for 100, so I will use 50 in the cream and then a little bit of sprinkled sugar on top. The point of using a lot of sugar in this recipe is that it caramelizes in the hot oven. Turning on my stove now. Putting in the remainder of the 500 milliliters of plant milk. Bringing this to the boil. And I'm sure you've all made pudding plenty of times before. I don't need to tell you how to do it. Also adding some rum aroma, and it's already boiling. I'm out of real rum, which I prefer. Alright, it's time to pour in the mixture. And see, this brown sugar I'm using also gives it a bit of color, actually like a caramel color. Now that I've stirred it vigorously, no lumps, adding some of the organic orange peel. Orange zest, actually, to be precise. Make sure you don't get the white parts. And about a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can also put some cinnamon on top of the pistachio when they're done or in the oven. Oh yeah, these are definitely lovely flavors wafting up to my nose. Now, if you don't think this color is pretty, yeah, I could have gone with white sugar. Sorry, we're going to use white sugar for the regular version, then I will show you the difference. Now let this cool for at least an hour. Now moving on to the next batch of pudding. This is the classic pudding with the egg yolks and the dairy. As you can see, these organic eggs, they are so vibrant in color that we don't need any turmeric or anything like that. It's a natural color. I'm making a bit of a bigger batch, so just watch out for the ingredients in the info box. I'm using mostly dairy cream here, double cream, and some dairy milk. And this recipe is a pretty authentic recipe that I googled from some, I think, restaurant or bakery in Lisbon. And they are not making this with pudding powder. Of course, they are making this with flour. So it's basically custard from scratch. First, I'm going to integrate the eggs into the milk and cream, just to make sure I'm using my blender here to distribute it evenly. Oh, all right. Adding the flour now, just making sure this won't tip over. And mix again. Also now adding in my rum aroma, my vanilla paste, and the organic orange peel. Let's be generous with the vanilla. Organic peel going in a second. Now, generous amount of orange peel is in, adding about a teaspoon, or 1.5 teaspoons rather, since I'm making a bigger batch of cinnamon. Careful not to spill it all in there. Can always add more later. And now for the sugar. The original recipe calls for 180 grams of sugar. That's too much for my good conscience. I'm using 100 and maybe a sprinkling of brown sugar, as I said earlier, on top. Giving it another mix. We don't want any lumps in there when we heat it up. Of course, you can also just throw this all together in your pot or pan, but I wanted to make extra sure we have no lumps. And now pouring this in. The smell of it is fantastic already. And bringing this to a boil slowly but surely. And be right back. Now, while this comes to a boil, let me give you my 2 cents on eggs and dairy. I know it's conflicting and confusing. There are so many reports and studies on nutrition. The German guidelines for nutrition at this point recommend no more than 2 eggs per week to be on the safe side. Normally, your body lowers or stops production of cholesterol once you take cholesterol through food. So some people have hereditary cholesterol problems where this mechanism is out of control and doesn't work. So these people had better be on a plant-based diet. Then there are other problems related to dairy and then animal products, such as, I don't know how you say that in English, arachidone acid, which can be inflammatory in the body. Then there's talk of dairy and animal products and eggs raising your IGF, like growth factor 1, your body producing TMAOs, which you don't need. So there's a lot of studies going on. I think you have to decide for yourself what you think is right for you. Some people just want to watch out for the planet, so I understand those motivations as well. But nowadays I think you can veganize any recipe and, find your way of eating. So let's wait for this baby to thicken up. This is a bit more work than the vegan version you saw before. Now, to be fair, you have to say that there are a lot of vitamins and valuable nutrients in an egg, so it does have its benefits, but I think for adults, you should stop eating animal products because they are mainly just intended to make your body grow and thrive when you're a kid, but not so much when you're older. The problem is also that up to 80% of the world population in varying regions are lactose intolerant. Scandinavian people are the least lactose intolerant, with African and Asian people being up to 80% lactose intolerant. Now, the ability to digest lactose has developed as a genetic mutation about 7,000 or 8,000 years ago, when people were in need for dairy products to survive. But since then, not a lot of people are actually able to digest it. You usually lose this ability to digest lactose when you become an adult. So I just had to change my whisk here. This is my favorite whisk. And as you can see, it's thickening up, so just keep stirring vigorously to avoid lumps. And we're almost there. See that? Getting thick and creamy right now. That's the way we want it. Keep stirring. The smell is really off the charts. I highly recommend using this combination of cinnamon, orange, and rum if you like it. And when your cream is thick and bubbly, turn off the stove, and this is going out in the cold to cool down for at least an hour. In the meantime, I will show you how to prepare the pastry dough. Now my custards, both the vegan custard has settled nicely and the traditional custard, and it's time to show you how to do the molds for the filling. I have some puff pastry dough here that I'm going to roll up from the long side up. Make sure you roll it really, really tightly, no air in between. Also make sure you seal the edges like so. See that? And then you want to cut your roll into 12 discs with a sharp knife. 12 even slices. I usually start in the middle, mark 6 and 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, like this. And now slice. Kind of look like marshmallows right now. So now the trick is now to shape them into molds, and the rolling of the dough creates these layers. So kind of want to just work your way up from the bottom as if you were handling clay or something. See that? And shape it into rounds. You can also press it down into the muffin tin and start going from there. As this is going to take a bit of time, I'm going to stop it right now and show you when it's finished. So see that? I'm going to shape it from the bottom up and make it really nice and thin. You don't want doughy bottoms. And then put it in your muffin molds. They don't have to come all the way up. It's not enough dough for that. They're pretty small little tarts. Just showing you one right now. Look about like this. Showing you how to do it when you start inside the tin. Just press down really hard and just start brushing up with your fingers. And if you're too lazy to do all of that, you might as well roll circles and just put them in, but that way you won't get that layered effect. This is my first batch down. It took me about 4 minutes to make these because I'm experienced. I've done these many times before. If you're not that experienced, it may take you longer, but it's so worth your while. Now let's fill in the custard. I'm starting with a round of vegan custard. It's pretty thick. Might have to stir it up a bit and use a spoon. Be right back. Now that's much better. Just fill them with the custard. Again, I apologize for this dark color from the brown sugar. Now my oven is preheating at 220 degrees. The point is to bake these very quickly at high heat, and they are known for their brown blisters on top. It's easier to achieve that in a professional kitchen, but we'll try our best here at home. And they're going in the oven now. Now it's time to take the vegan Pasteis de Nata out of the oven. As you can see, they're pretty much all over the place. They look a mess, but trust me, they taste oh so good. My mistake for using the brown sugar. So the vegan pasteis have come out of the oven. I have to say they look a bit pitiful. The custard has a rubbery consistency, and they've pretty much flatten out because there's no substance to the custard without eggs. I definitely recommend you use coconut cream, not rice milk. I already said that before. It's richer with coconut cream, but I just can't eat too much of it because it really raises my LDL. The bottom has turned out super nice and crispy. You can still see the layers. And again, don't judge a book by its cover. They taste absolutely amazing. I'm gonna try one now for you guys. God, perfect. Very, very delicious. So still a very satisfying treat if you want to keep it vegan. And now we will move on to the traditional version. And here we go again, trying to fill the second round of puff pastry with the custard. I should probably use less than I did with the vegan ones. But I still have one more roll of puff pastry to go. Usually I have some filling left over. This also makes for a nice dessert, just as it is, or in summer, extremely awesome with some strawberries. And I trust that with the help of the egg yolks, this filling is going to hold up better than the vegan ones. And now, because I haven't ruined the color with some brown sugar like before, I can sprinkle on some cinnamon. Careful not too much. And off they go in the oven again at 220 degrees. The moment of truth when these babies are coming out of the oven, and look at that. Perfection. That's the way they should look with the blisters on top. So they are still a bit wobbly. We have to let them settle before we can even think about taking them out of here. And here we are again, guys, before your very eyes, the most delicious Pasteis de Nata. This is the regular version, and we're going to take them out of their molds. I had them rest for about an hour, and they're just easily coming out. I really love these new silicone molds. They're very easy to handle. I used to have a regular muffin pan, and I didn't like it so much. They are still a bit warm. And here you have the direct comparison with the vegan ones in a second. One too many. Okay, and both of them are super delicious. It's just a matter of optics, really. Both of them are not the prettiest treats, but hey, they taste much better for it. I hope you try one of these, whatever you prefer. I hope you stay safe. Thank you for joining me, and see you again soon on Veggielicious. Just one more piece of advice. If you want to make the vegan pasteis, I would highly recommend you use coconut cream, not the rice milk that I used. I told you my reasons. Coconut cream seems to really raise my otherwise perfectly fine LDL, so I'm trying to avoid it, but it would be the better option as far as culinary reasons are concerned. It will look nicer.